Welcome to the Truth TV Show.
Viewers of the Truth TV Show, this is once again the Truth TV Show on Trembling Online TV. You may want to follow us for the next section of Jesus Under Investigation. Probably we will delve into the prophecies, and I can assure you that it will be mind-blowing. So if you are not offended, I hope, by this discourse that we are having, and you are very much interested, then send us a message, call us, let us have your take on how you are receiving the message. Now, the virgin birth of Jesus is actually imperious as far as Christianity is concerned, and objectively, if you want to probe into these matters, and then it is established that Jesus Christ, whether he existed or not, we are not really delving into that because it's based on assumption that he existed. Maybe later on we will probe to find out whether he existed or he didn't exist. But if Jesus Christ existed and he wasn't born of a virgin, that in itself is problematic, because we will now realize that then, contrary to what you have been told by Christians or by bishops or by pastors, that Jesus Christ came to redeem us from sin, and like what Paul said, that he was made sin who knew no sin, then that cannot be accepted on the basis of that, because if he wasn't born of a virgin, then like what David said, that in sin was I conceived, then it means that Jesus Christ was born into sin. Have you ever heard of the song Born Into Sin? So there's even contradiction when it comes to the belief system of Christians. Why would you compose songs and propagate the message that Jesus Christ was born into sin, when Paul also claimed that he wasn't born into sin? So this is just an investigation, and then with this section we are going to probe into the matter objectively. Now, finally, Polymath, do you have any closing remark, anything that you want to add up to this? And also something you want to tell the viewers out there, those Christians who may be offended that we think we are punching holes in Christianity and then we are unbelievers and all of that.
Okay, thank you very much. I think that, like you said to them before, I think there is no need for anybody to be emotional about this issue. Paul the Apostle wrote somewhere in one of his letters, he says, "Study to show yourself approved unto God, like a workman who does not need to quarrel or argue or get frustrated and offended, but who can rightly divide the word of truth." So what we are doing here is rightly dividing the word of truth, but you can see that we are using a scholarly fashion, because we are not just picking the text as in the Bible and just linking scriptures and using our minds to tell you what we think the text should mean or imply. We are going further to probe all these matters historically and providing all the evidences. I think that Christians need to pay attention to what some of the leading rabbis are saying concerning Jesus Christ. And I also think that the rabbis must also pay attention to what some of the Christian apologists are saying. I think we need to get to the point where Jews and Christians will begin to come to a certain consensus regarding the true identity of Jesus Christ, which could be verified historically and based on Bible prophecy. I think that taking an entrenched position like what some of the conservative Jewish rabbis are taking may be erroneous, and I also think that the position of some Christian theologians and apologists may be too far-fetched concerning the identity of Jesus Christ. I think we have to go for a middle ground where we can objectively acknowledge, recognize, and realize who Jesus is. Because if Jesus Christ, for example, is not a myth, and Jesus Christ is historically verifiable, that he lived and he was baptized by John the Baptist, and he died and was buried, and purportedly he rose from the dead and ascended to heaven and all of that. Considering the massive following that Jesus Christ has, if all these people are, for example, lost, as far as salvation is concerned, because they have believed in a mythological figure, I think that is dangerous. But if Jesus Christ existed and truly he died and was raised from the dead and ascended to heaven, and Jesus Christ is alive, as some of the epistles and the book of Revelation would have us to believe, then we could also partly account for why Jesus Christ, Yeshua, seems to have such massive influence over the lives of people. I'm not trying to make the argument that the fact that a leader has massive influence over people, that means that leader is authentic, because we can point to other leaders who had a lot of followers. Even Adolf Hitler had followers, but I don't think that anybody would believe that Adolf Hitler is the kind of leader they will want, to control their lives. Okay, but the point I'm trying to make is that we cannot write off Christianity, because there are still a lot of Christians, but we need to account for why. We need to account for why there are a lot of Christians, and what did the first century believers hold on to? What were their doctrines? Did the earliest apostles and believers and disciples of Jesus Christ believe that, for example, he was incarnated and that he was born of a virgin? Did they believe that Jesus Christ died and was raised from the dead, and after he was raised from the dead, he was declared to be the Son of God, like Paul is alluding to? So we need to probably go much deeper into this matter. Maybe as this show progresses, we may want to be delving into these matters, but we need to really verify and ascertain historically whether the Jesus Christ we're talking about, this controversial figure, though, is actually who he claimed to be or who he is purported to be, as we see it on the face of the gospel accounts. More importantly, also, we need to look at the position of the Jewish prophets, because Christians believe that Jesus Christ is the promised Jewish Messiah. Many conservative Jewish rabbis don't believe that, but we need to really examine the Jewish prophecies, all the way from the time of the patriarchs. I think we need to do very serious analysis. For example, start with Adam, Cain, Abel, look at Noah, look at Enoch, okay, the books of Enoch, a great guy. Look at Noah. We need to look at the patriarchs, Abraham, Job, Isaac, Jacob. We need to look at Joseph, okay. We need to look at the 12 tribes of Israel. We need to look at Moses, a very prominent figure in this whole matter. We need to look at the words of Moses, the prophet. And then we need to look at all the others. Joshua, the successor of Moses. We need to look at the life of the judges, people like Samson and Jephthah. We need to look at the lives of people like Gideon, what they had to say. We need to look at the lives of Samuel. We need to look at David, a very important king of Israel, who will play a key role in this discourse. We need to look at what David wrote and what David has to say. Then we also have to look at the prophets as a whole. Okay? Major prophets like Isaiah have very key roles to play. They have a major influence, on this narrative and the conclusion we are going to draw. We have to look at what people like Zechariah, people like Daniel, people like Jeremiah, etc. wrote. And then also you have to look at the position of John the Baptist, who is actually the last in the chain of the Jewish prophets, so to speak, what he himself had to say. We may even have to go further to look at what some of the various Jewish messianic cults and sects and movements taught about Jesus Christ. For example, we have to be looking at what the Ebionites believe in, what the Nazarenes believe in. There are a lot of serious issues that we have to look at. So I want to say in conclusion that it's not over yet. We are not done with this issue. There are a lot of things to really discuss and to probe into. I must say that the kind of information that you are using may affect your conclusion in this matter. For example, later on you may realize, if you go into the prophecies, that whichever prophet you choose for your analysis might affect the kind of Jesus that you will get in the end. So, for example, if you decide to base all your Bible prophecy analysis on Isaiah's prophecies, for example, you may realize that Jesus Christ, the one presented in the gospel accounts, never fulfills many of the prominent messianic prophecies that Isaiah gives. But if you decide to use some of the prophecies, okay, that David, the king, wrote or composed as songs that are classified by theologians as messianic psalms, if you probably probe some of them carefully, you may conclude that Jesus Christ was actually the Yeshua, the seed of David, with some caveats, which makes him even more controversial, because then you see that he, in one sense, he appears to be the son of David from a physical perspective, but you realize that no, but he cannot truly be the physical seed of David because of some claims that David made about him in the Psalms. So these are very serious issues that we can look at, and I think that probably in the next discussion, I think that one of the crucial questions that we may be looking at is whose son is the Messiah? Because I think trying to answer that question will unravel, a lot of mysteries and a lot of, a lot of the controversies surrounding Jesus Christ. But I think that we need to be really open-minded, and we need to study. I think Christians need to really study, okay, and stop a lot of the emotional gymnastics that they get themselves engaged in, especially when they find themselves in certain mainstream Pentecostal and charismatic churches. I think that we need to move beyond what the bishops and the preachers have been saying and presenting in church, okay, and begin to search for the truth for ourselves. And that's why I think that our viewers are encouraged to make sure that if they get access to this video or the link, they can share the link. After subscribing, they have to share the link, etc., to maybe some of their friends. Not all of them will accept these kind of hard facts that we are presenting, but I think that the onus lies on all of us to make sure that we elevate the principle of truth above our individual personal opinions and biases. I think that if we elevate truth in our personal lives, and then in our society and our nation and the world at large, we will see over time, a better people. We will see our nations transform just by the force of truth. And so I think that this is a very important program, the Truth TV show, where evidence is the rule of the game, and where we give you the kind of knowledge that will make you free. You understand that? We try as much as possible on this show to present the truth and nothing but the truth. So that is what I'll say in conclusion.
All right. Thank you very much, Polymath, for joining us today on this discussion. It's been an eye-opener, and I'm sure the viewers out there would also attest to that fact. Thank you so much. Now, today's discussion was, Jesus Christ really an investigation, but particularly an inquiry into the incarnation and virgin birth of Christ. Now, this is just the scratch surface of what we're doing. We will go into details later, as you have rightly mentioned. So, my name is Maxwell Obing, and I've been your presenter. I was joined in the studio to help me with this discussion by Polymath Godfather Samoa, who is the CEO of Trembit Consult. So, until we come your way again, say this with me: the Truth TV show, where evidence is the rule of the game. The Truth TV show, where we'll give you nothing but the truth. The Truth TV show, where we'll give you the knowledge that makes you free. Bye.